Hey everybody, welcome back around to the Blog and Grill. I am your host, Doug, here with your video blog for September 14th, 2015. Great blog planned for you today as we have a lot to get to as we have the hunt for October heating up. We also will take a look at my college football rankings as I give you my top 6 with my 4 playoff teams and my 1 bubble team, which we will update every Monday here on the Blog and Grill. But first, I have to get to week 1 in the NFL. It was quite an interesting week for sure, and there's going to be a lot of headlines to get to that we're going to talk about. A big drive last night late in the game on Sunday Night Football that we're going to get to. Also, we're going to talk about one player that hasn't played great, quarterback, and there's an increase of this in the NFL following week 1 that we're going to get to, and I'm going to address why this is happening as well. So we're going to talk about that. It's going to be exciting, but first, we're going to do what we do every Monday here on the blog as we go around the Shield. In a 1 o'clock game yesterday, Jay Cutler throws a touchdown, but the shining star is Aaron Rodgers as he throws for 3 touchdowns. Packers beat the Bears 31-23. Alex Smith didn't complete a passing touchdown to a wide receiver all year last year. Still hasn't, but Travis Kelce, the tight end, catches 2 touchdown passes. Chiefs beat the Texans as Brian Hoyer goes down. Ryan Mallett comes in. Chiefs win 27-20. New York Jets get off the schneid with a win 31-10. Chris Ivory carries for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. Andrew Luck and the Colts stunned on the road against the Bills. Tyrod Taylor plays well, and Rex Ryan wins his Buffalo Bills debut 27-14. The Miami Dolphins get off to a good start as well. Ryan Tannehill, 226 yards, but the big punt return by Jarvis Landry puts the Dolphins ahead as they beat the Redskins 17-10. In another game, Panthers versus the Jags, Blake Bortles throws for a touchdown. Cam Newton plays well for the Panthers. Luke Kuechly leaves with a concussion, but the Panthers get the job done 20-9. In a wild game, Tavon Austin scores 2 touchdowns for the Rams, 1 rushing, 1 on special teams. The game goes to overtime. Marshawn Lynch is stuffed on a 4th and goal, and the Rams win with a field goal 34-31. Carson Palmer gets back to where he left off last year following his knee injury as the Cardinals beat the Saints 31-19. Phillip Rivers goes for over 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chargers beat the Lions 33-28. Marcus Mariota, 4 touchdown passes in his NFL debut. Jameis Winston's first pass attempt goes pick 6. Titans beat the Buccaneers 42-14. Jeremy Hill, the new feature back for the Cincinnati Bengals, rushes for 2 touchdowns. Tyler Eifert, off a knee injury last year for the Bengals, catches 2 touchdowns. Andy Dalton throws 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr goes down with a hand injury. Bengals beat the Raiders 33-13. Denver Broncos over the Ravens 19-13 despite Peyton Manning throwing a pick 6 and not throwing for a touchdown pass. We'll touch on Peyton here in a little bit as the Broncos beat the Ravens 19-13. And then in Sunday Night Football, Tony Romo goes for 356 and 3 touchdowns, leads the Cowboys to a game-winning drive late with a Jason Witten touchdown. Cowboys beat the Giants 27-26, and that is around the Shield. NFL picks for the week. I went 2-2. Still got one more tonight as I took Minnesota minus the 1 against the 49ers. That game's going to be coming up at 10:15 for you. For those of you watching Monday Night Football, 20-3 right now, Atlanta over the Eagles. Let's get to a few things. One thing I think we saw yesterday big time, a lot of increased injuries. We saw Luke Kuechly go out with a concussion. We saw Dez Bryant go out with an injury as well. And I think what this all attributes to is less exposure for these guys in the preseason. We've heard people say there's 4 preseason games. They should cut it back to 2. And really, people are just not ready with the lack of OTAs, with the lack of 2-a-days in training camp. What it comes down to is these guys just are not up to game speed when the season starts. And we see tough games. We see low-scoring games. But the big thing we see is a lot of injuries from some key players. And that's an issue in the NFL, and I think that has to be addressed. The players are bigger, the players are faster, the players are stronger, but they're still not ready to go once the season begins. Tony Romo last night continues to shut up the haters. He goes 356, 3 touchdowns, game-winning drive, his 28th game-winning drive in regulation or overtime. That is the most since he came into the league. And everybody says Tony Romo chokes. Tony Romo does not choke. Tony Romo is clutch. He has a good team, 2 good running backs, Lance Dunbar and Joseph Randle. I think this team is very good. I think they're going to get better on the defensive side of the ball. We saw Morris Claiborne play better last night. We also saw Brandon Carr play pretty well. I'm excited to see what this team can do, and Tony Romo is showing that he is an elite quarterback in the NFL, and he can get it done at the highest level. If we go to the other side of the ball, the poor quarterback play of the day was definitely Peyton Manning, and we're starting to see his arm going earlier and earlier and earlier every year. He doesn't even have his arm right now. 24 of 40, 175, 1 interception, no touchdown passes. Yes, that Ravens defense is stout, but Peyton Manning did not look good yesterday. Overthrew a few times to Demaryius Thomas. Just really did not look comfortable in the pocket. Did not look comfortable throwing the ball down the field. Still has that mid-range accuracy and can get going, but they need to run the ball more with C.J. Anderson and try to get Emmanuel Sanders in space to try to make him become a playmaker for this team. We'll do some more NFL on Thursdays. We're going to bring up a new session, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Let's get to our college football rankings, though. I'll start at number 6. Number 6, I have the Georgia Bulldogs playing some pretty good ball right now. Some better quarterback play for them. Number 5 is Baylor. They're just outside looking in, and if they can win a few more games, have one of these teams above them lose, they're going to jump up. But my top 4 right now, number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Alabama. That's a given. I'm putting Michigan State number 3. I think Connor Cook is an NFL-type quarterback who's going to have a very good year in college, and I think Michigan State could beat Ohio State in that matchup. And then I think my number 4 team right now has to be TCU. They're just playing so good and really can just score a lot of points. Just a quick college football shout out to my Syracuse Orange with their 30-17 win over Wake Forest. Freshman quarterback Eric Dungy is now 18 of 30 for 335. He's completing 60% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And they will take on Central Michigan next week before a big matchup with LSU up at the Dome. All right, before we get out of here, let's just do a quick look at our hunt for October as we take a look at some of the important Major League Baseball races that are going on right now. And really, we have a good race now in the East. We have a good race in the West in the American League, so that's going to be a couple things to look at. So let's just go hunt for October briefly. 17 is the magic number for the Toronto Blue Jays right now. Let's see what we got. Toronto is currently up 3.5 games. They have a pretty favorable schedule. They play the Braves and then the Red Sox in their next couple of games, and they play 9 home and 10 away. The Yankees have 20 games remaining. They play 8 at home and 12 away as they're at Tampa Bay before they go to the red-hot New York Mets. American League Central basically wrapped up. 11 is the magic number for the Kansas City Royals as they have a 10-game lead over the Minnesota Twins. They play 6 at home and then 14 games on the road, and it's pretty much reversed for the Minnesota Twins. They play 13 at home and 7 on the road. If you go out west in the American League, this is an interesting race right now. Houston, right now, with their magic number at 19, they are a game and a half ahead of Texas, and they are playing 4 with Texas right now. They currently lead them 1-0. This is a big series. Texas has come on hot, and if Texas can make a run at it, they can get out of that wild card spot and sneak into that division winner spot. And the division winner spot is so important to get right now if you are the Texas Rangers. New York Mets basically have the West wrapped up, or the East wrapped up. They have a 9.5 game lead with 19 games to go. Their magic number is at 11. Let's see what we have. National League Central starting to tighten up. Pittsburgh is getting hot right now. They play 10 at home, 10 away. They're 2.5 back right now of the St. Louis Cardinals, and they're making a run at them. Pittsburgh could get hot and win that division, and that would put the Cardinals in a very tough spot playing the Chicago Cubs. Dodgers out west, 7.5 game lead. They basically have that wrapped up as well. And then the National League wild card is just going to come down to who wins the division and who wins the wild card in the Central. That's what that's going to come down to. All right, so that's all I got for you tonight. I'm going to be back on Thursdays. I'm trying to line up a guest for Saturday right now. Thursday we'll talk college football week 3. We'll also do studs and duds from the NFL in week 1. We'll also hit on some headlines in the sports world. You can follow me on Twitter at YankeeBaller415. You can also check me out on SportsMindedNews.com. You can comment, questions, subscribe to my page. Thanks for tuning into the Blog and Grill. I'll see you back here on Thursday. Have a great start to your week.